Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudire Nashtaprayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 10, chapter 47, text number 41. Katham rati visheshagya Katham rati visheshagya Priyascha purayoshitam Priyascha purayoshitam Nanubandhyate tadvakyar Nanubandhyate tadvakyar Vibhramaishchanubhajitah Vibhramaishchanubhajitah Katham rati visheshagya Priyascha purayoshitam Nanubandhyate tadvakyar Vibhramaishchanubhajitah Katham rati visheshagya Priyascha purayoshita Nanubhadyate tadvakya Anubhajitah. Yes. Katham rati visheshagya Vibhramaishchanubhajitah Katham, how? Rati, of conjugal affairs. Vishesha, in all the specific aspects. Gyaha, the expert. Priyaha, the darling. Cha, and. Purayoshita, of the city woman. Na anubhadyate, will not become bound. That by their vakyahi, words, vibhramahi, bewildering gestures, cha, and anubhajitaha, constantly worship. Translation. Sri Krishna is expert in all kinds of conjugal affairs and is the darling of the city woman. How can he not become entangled now that he is constantly adored by their enchanting words and gestures? Please repeat. Sri Krishna is expert in all kinds of conjugal affairs and is the darling of the city woman. How can he not become entangled now that he is constantly adored by their enchanting words and gestures? Purport. According to Sridhar Swami, each of these verses is spoken by a different gopi. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. O foolish woman, are you asking the same question again? You should not have doubt about this. In this way, other gopis began to speak sarcastically with inner anger. Because Krishna knows everything about love affairs, he has become the darling of the women of Mathura. How can he not become attached? Being constantly honored by their words and services, anubhajitah, Krishna will respond to them or will be forced to render service to them also. We village women do not desire to give any love to that madman. We don't know skillful use of words and gestures. We have concluded correctly that he has given us up on attaining the woman of Mathura. That is the sense of the question they ask in this verse. Jiva Goswami, does one need to ask? There is no doubt about this. He is pleasing with his dress, forms, and ornaments. He is worshipped by their words and coy gestures. Together they show cleverness which increases their affection for each other. How can he not become attracted to them? So Sanatana Goswami is similar. Chant the Mangala prayers first. Om Jnanati Mirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas and discuss this verse on the most deepest section of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So we are continuing this chapter, the Song of the Bee, and we have come to the section where initially we right. So initially we have in this chapter we have heard how Srimati Radharani is actually speaking to the bumblebee, right? Bumblebee, and she actually, so that's one section of the chapter, and the main part in that is how Srimati Radharani is expressing that Krishna has actually abandoned the young girls of Vraj, and now he is actually enjoying with the city woman. That was the main theme, and again we are seeing the same theme here in this verse, and they are actually contrasting their own supposed ill fortune to the rival lover's good fortune. Like we are so unfortunate because Krishna has left us, but now he's spending so much time with them, and this verse is saying, using the word nanu badhyate. He is actually now entangled by the love of the city woman. So why does he even care about us? Like, why would he even think about us? So that's kind of their mood. And that was initially we saw this mood, and Uddhav also, he actually he consoled them first, and then he consoled them by glorifying them, by saying that, oh, you gopis, you have actually attained the highest degree of pure devotion. You are so exalted that this is what is like the highest kind of love. So he actually consoles them, glorifies them. Then he shares Krishna's message. And the essence of Krishna's message is Krishna is telling the gopis that just to increase your attraction for me and intensify your remembrance, I actually have left Vrindavan. Right? And then he says, like, just like, when a beloved is far away, then the person can just constantly remember that person. So similarly, by my leaving Vrindavan, it's just to increase your attraction, your intensity or absorption in me. Right? So in that. And then after hearing Krishna's message, the gopis were relieved, and then they actually again start speaking, and that's the section where we are reading. So just last verse was the first verse they spoke, and this is the second verse. And again we see the same point where they are actually comparing and saying like, comparing themselves with the city of the woman of city of Mathura, and the gopis are actually thinking that we are simple village girls. What is our position in front of the city women who are like so sophisticated? And and then they talk about like how they vakir, they're using their words, then they are using vibramai, bewildering gestures, anubhajita, they are constantly worshipping Lord Krishna. What is our comparison to them? And certainly Krishna is actually entangled by their love, and he is not thinking of us anymore. So again, they are in that mood. And we see the mood of the gopis is, right. So they are asking, so there are 2 points here which we see again repeatedly in the mood of the gopis. They ask about the happiness of Krishna out of intense love for him. And second, they display hatred for the woman of Mathura, thinking as their competitors. So we see this. This is the mood of Vrindavan, the mood of Brajvasis, is that they have that exclusive possessiveness to Krishna. Like normally, like when we progress in our path of bhakti, as we are growing in our bhakti, then we try to offer anything that we possess or everything that we possess in Krishna's service, like how we sing Manasa Deho Geho Jo Kichu Mor Arpilu Tuva Pade Nanda Kishore. Oh Krishna, whatever is mine, right? Manasa Deho Geho, my mind, my body, my property, anything that is mine, I offer to you, oh Krishna. So that's initially the conception that yes, Krishna, whatever is mine, I want to use it in your service. But the mood of the Vrajvasis goes more deeper in the sense that yes, they whatever they have, they actually say, Krishna, this is yours. But finally they say, Krishna, you are only mine. And that exclusive love of the Vrajvasis is actually the speciality of the mood of Vrindavan, where they have that possessiveness that the gopis are thinking, Krishna is only ours. How can the city of the woman of the city of Mathura, how can they have Krishna? Krishna is just ours. So out of that mood of hatred, display hatred for the woman of Mathura, they are actually thinking of them as competitors. So that's kind of the overall mood here. But let's see in this verse, it starts off with Katham Rati Visheshagya. So if you see the 3 words, Katham means how, Rati is conjugal affair, Visheshagya, one Krishna who is actually expert in all specific aspects of conjugal affairs. And this goes back to a point that they are actually saying, oh Krishna, you are expert in all kinds of mellows. So certainly when the queens of Mathura, the women of Mathura are reciprocating with you, you will certainly reciprocate. You are actually bound to reciprocate with them. And hence you have actually forgotten us. So that's kind of the mood. But let's focus on this Visheshagya, Krishna's quality as the knower of all rasas, the embodiment of all rasas, and the relisher of all rasas. Nectar of Devotion starts off with this verse, Akhila Rasamrita Murti. Krishna is the embodiment of all rasas. There's actually one verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and this is actually comes in the conversation that when the Rath Yatra pastime is taking place, and when the chariot of Lord Jagannath reaches Gundicha, right? So then it's at Gundicha for 9 days. Then there's a conversation between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Swarup Damodar, and Srivas Pandit, right? So in that conversation, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually asking that why is it that Lakshmi ji comes and she's in so much in the mood of anger, and this is referring to the Hera Panchami pastime. Why is she so angry? Krishna has actually left, the Jagannath temple, and he's actually with the desire to go to Vrindavan. But why is Lakshmi ji so angry? And in response of that, Damodar kahe, says Damodar Pandit is saying, Damodar kahe, Krishna rasika shekara, rasa aswadaka, rasamaya kalevaraha. So this actually verse. So Damodar said, Krishna is who? Rasika shekara. He is the master of all rasa, of transcendental mellows. And then rasa aswadaka. He is the taster of those mellows. Right? And the third one is rasa maya kalevara. His body is made of all rasas. So that's why the Akhila Rasamrita Murti, Krishna is made with all these different kinds of rasas. And then it says, so one is he's made of all these different rasas. Second, he's the taster of all these different rasas. And third, he's the master of all these different rasas. There's one statement, and I mentioned this earlier, which I really like, is Shriram Swami Maharaj actually makes this in the introduction to Krishna Sangati. He says Krishna is, he makes a point, in the garden of divine love, Krishna is both the gardener and also he is the bee. Gardener in the sense that he's enhancing the rasa of every living entity, and he's the bee in the sense that he's tasting the rasa of every living entity. And if you actually see the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, which we say Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna himself. So in Bhagavatam, in the third verse of the Bhagavatam, what does it say? Nigama kalpa taror galitam phalam sukha mukhad amrita davya samritam pibata bhagavatam rasam alayam muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. It says pibata bhagavata rasa alayam. It is, this entire Bhagavatam is Krishna himself, and Bhagavatam is filled with rasa. It is the alaya, means the abode. Like in India we often use this word alaya. Alaya means a place. So we say pustakalaya. Pustakalaya is a place where there are pustak, that is books. So that's a library. So Bhagavatam is rasa alaya. It is the place where there's all rasas together. So entire Bhagavatam, so when you are reading Bhagavatam, and it actually says what? Muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. Those who are relishers of rasa, they can really relish Bhagavatam. So we have to kind of become expert at all these rasas to really relish Srimad Bhagavatam. And we see Krishna himself in the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he actually came, he and Gadadhar Pandit, they used to sit for hours every day to relish that rasa. So Krishna is the relisher of the rasa, and that's why he actually came as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Gadadhar Pandit is like assisting Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to taste that rasa, that deep rasa. And they said that how Gadadhar Pandit, when he was reading Srimad Bhagavatam, especially they said the 4th canto and the 7th canto, Dhruva Maharaj pastime and Prahlad Maharaj pastime. And they are relishing rasa, the same pastime they are reading hundreds of times. And every time they read, they are actually deriving a new rasa in that pastime. And said that Gadadhar Pandit is like crying tears while he's reading Srimad Bhagavatam. And later on it's described when Srinivas Acharya was looking for a copy of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he was informed that, maybe you should go to Gadadhar Pandit, he has a copy. And when Srinivas Acharya came to Gadadhar Pandit said, you can take my copy, but because of the crying, the tears, the print is all kind of washed away. So he gave the Bhagavatam, but the Bhagavatam was all, the script was washed away because there was so much tears while reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, Krishna himself, is the relisher of the rasa. And Srimad Bhagavatam is filled with all rasa. So every pastime that you see in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is, as relishers of Srimad, as students of Srimad Bhagavatam, we can find out what is that rasa in the pastime, what is the emotion in that pastime. Like just 2 days back, I was hearing one class of Prabhupada, and he was actually talking about this rasa, this pastime between Bhishma Dev and Lord Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And Prabhupada was actually making the point that how Krishna had taken a vow not to pick up any weapon. He had this promise that yes, I'll be there in the battle of Kurukshetra, but I'll not take any weapon. But Bhishma Dev, as a devotee, he had the desire to see Krishna, coming with him with a weapon in hand. So, and when I was hearing this class, I was thinking like, wow, so much emotion in just one pastime. Like Krishna has taken a vow, he'll never pick up a weapon. Bhishma, a devotee of Krishna, knows that Krishna has taken a vow not to pick up a weapon, but he is in the mood that I want to see Krishna break his vow to protect his devotee. So that itself, we see that mood that Bhishma Dev is like, no, he has to break his vow. That shows how much he loves his devotees. And then, so that's one aspect. And then when the fighting was actually going on, right, Bhishma Dev was shooting arrows at Krishna, right? And the arrows were actually piercing Krishna. And what does Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur say? This is just an exchange between two lovers, where the lover may bite the beloved and so on. But he's saying that arrows were just like that emotion. Krishna is receiving the arrows not like someone piercing me, but as that love that Bhishma is actually offering to Krishna. And Krishna is receiving those arrows. And later on, when it came to a stage that Bhishma was so fearful on that day, that he was almost ready to defeat Arjun, right? And then Krishna was forced to take up the weapon. And he didn't take up his whole chakra, but he just took a broken chariot wheel. And he was running towards Bhishma with that chariot wheel in his hand. And then Arjun came and he was like holding Krishna and said, no, don't do that. You actually took a vow not to take up a weapon, so please don't do that. And the whole pastime is filled with like so much emotions, And this is just in the first canto. And if you see every pastime, there is so much emotion. And later on when Bhishma Dev is actually leaving, what is he thinking? He's actually meditating on this form of Krishna. And he says, now I'm, in the final, in the 9th chapter of the first canto, when he's actually ready to leave his body, he's meditating on that form of Krishna, whose body is covered with dust on the battlefield, and who's like charging towards Krishna with that chariot wheel in his hand. And that is Bhishma Dev's meditation when he's actually leaving his body. And it's so powerful, just this one pastime, and how Prabhupada was explaining so nicely, like, the emotions that are there in this pastime. So Krishna, one way, he wants to bring out the emotions in every jiva, right? And that's why he's like a gardener, right? He's actually nourishing the emotions in our heart. And then the second one, he himself is a taster of all those emotions. So hence the word Visheshagya. He is the expert. He is the expert in all rasas. Right? And also another pastime in this is always mentioned that when we talk of Krishna as Rasika Shekara, this comes in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we recently read just few chapters before, when Krishna actually entered the arena where the fighting was set up, between Chanura, Mushtika, and just before Kamsa was killed. When Krishna actually entered into that assembly, the various groups of people in the arena regarded Krishna in different ways when he entered with Balram. The wrestlers saw Krishna as lightning bolt. So that is Veera Rasa. So Krishna is entering, but all the wrestlers are saying, oh, he is actually lightning personified, like a lightning bolt. That is the Veera Rasa. The men of Mathura, as the best of males, were actually experiencing Vishmaya Rasa. Right? So the males also were thinking, how beautiful is Krishna? And they were experiencing a rasa. The woman, as Cupid in person, Madhura Rasa. The women were saying, oh, we have only heard about Krishna up to this point. But first time we are seeing Krishna, hence they are experiencing that Madhura Rasa. The cowherd boys as their relative, Sakya Rasa and Hasya Rasa. The impious rulers as a chastiser, Raudra Rasa, Raudra, anger. His parents as their child, Vatsalya Rasa and Karuna Rasa. Karuna, they were feeling like, oh, Krishna, now this our dear son Krishna, he has to fight these wrestlers, and they were feeling that Karuna, that compassion in their heart, that this is not right. The king of Bhojas as death, Bhayanaka Rasa. You know, Kamsa was thinking, now that personified is walking into the assembly. And the unintelligent as the Supreme Lord's universal form, Bhibatsa Rasa. The yogis as the absolute truth, Shanta Rasa. And the Vrishnis as the supreme worshipable deity, Dasya Rasa. So that same Krishna is entering into the assembly. And we have all the people experiencing so many different rasas in just that one instant that Krishna is actually entering and everyone is seeing Krishna. Right? So we talked of there's Veera Rasa, Vimasva Rasa, Madhura Rasa, Sakya Rasa, Hasya Rasa, Raudra Rasa, Vatsalya Rasa, Karuna Rasa, Bhayanak Rasa, Bibhatsa Rasa, Santa Rasa, Dasa Rasa. Just in that one instant, one pastime of Krishna entering into the arena, you have like 12 different kind of rasas right there. The people are experiencing and Krishna is relishing the rasa. You know? So, I want to mention that point. So here, Visheshagya, right? So he is the one who is expert at all the rasas. And here particularly he is mentioning of Rati. Rati is expert in conjugal rasas. So there are 5 main rasas. Of them, here it is like Krishna is expert in relishing conjugal rasa. Right? Now, why are they referring to conjugal rasa? Now they themselves have the experience of how Krishna is the expert relisher of all rasas. In the Ras Leela pastimes or their interactions with Krishna, they know how Krishna is so expert at every rasa. And hence, they are actually saying, oh, he is actually expert in all aspects of conjugal rasa. And we see this in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Krishna, actually, when it's described that Krishna actually, he leaves Hastinapur and he goes into Dwarka. You know? And just that one pastime of like Krishna leaving Hastinapur and entering Dwarka, that actually goes over 2 chapters, because when Krishna is actually leaving Hastinapur, then it is described that how all the women of Hastinapur, they actually offer prayers to Krishna and how they are experiencing a kind Shanta Rasa. They have the mood of appreciation. Oh, Krishna is here and now he is leaving, and they have beautiful prayers, and then they actually come to the point and say like, oh, these Yadus, basically because Krishna is going to Dwarka in that sense, in that instance. So they are saying these residents of Dwarka, they are so fortunate. You know, they must have certainly performed so many austerities to actually have Krishna living right there. We just had darshan, we just had Krishna's presence here in Hastinapur for a few months, but now he's going back. They are so fortunate that Krishna is actually living there. He's right there with them all the time. They must have certainly performed so many austerities. They must have done something special to have Krishna right there living in his house, living in their house. You know? So they are playing in this way. And then it is described when Krishna actually enters into Dwarka, how there is so much rasa. And that is described like how even the prostitutes are actually enchanted to see Krishna and how they come. And then it is described how the queens of Krishna, right? So these are the queens, what they're talking of here is the queens or the women of Mathura. Later on, the same women, they actually moved to Dwarka. But there we see these queens of Dwarka, and they actually make this point. It's one of the important verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It comes in the first canto, 11th chapter, text 36. Uddhama bhava pishunamala valgu hasya vridavaloka nihato madanopi yasyam samhuya chapam ajahat pramadottamasta yasendriyam vimatitum kuhaker nasheku. And this is very much related to the word that you see here. Oh, sorry. Which is that? Yeah. So if you see Vakya is words, Vibramas is again those gestures and glances, and Chanu Bhajita is actually worship. So the same point is actually mentioned here, that although the queens, these are the queens of Dwarka, they are beautiful smiles and their glances, beautiful smiles and furtive glances were all spotless and exciting. And although they could conquer Cupid himself by making him give up his bow in frustration. So this is actually describing the love of the queens of Dwarka, and they are saying their beautiful smiles, their glances, it's like all spotless and exciting. And that glances, that exchange is so beautiful that even Cupid himself actually gives up his bow in frustration. So we know Cupid is actually traveling all over, and he's actually, shooting his arrows to enchant, to actually attract all these conditioned souls to the opposite sex and things like that. But when Cupid actually goes to these queens of Dwarka, then Cupid himself is conquered, and he actually gives up. How can I conquer these most beautiful women who have such beautiful smiles and glances? And although even the tolerant Shiva could fall victim to them, right? Even Shiva can fall victim to their exchanges. Still, despite all their magical feats and attractions, they could not agitate the senses of the Lord. Despite all their magical feats and attractions, they could not, it says they could not, kuhake na sheku, agitate the senses of the Lord. So yes, they are actually having all this Vakyar, Vibhramas, Chanubhajita, they are worshipping the Lord. And the gopis are thinking that by these exchanges, certainly Krishna is anubhadyate, he is actually entangled, he is bound up by all these exchanges of the city woman, right? City woman. But here this verse is actually further, is actually really expressing Krishna's mood. Yes, he is receiving all this, but what is Krishna's heart? It says Krishna is not agitated by all these. But how is Krishna reciprocating with them? And Prabhupada makes this point in the purport. He says, yes, thus Cupid's influence is exerted even amongst the ugliest forms, and what to speak of the most perfect beauties. Lord Shiva, who is considered to be most tolerant, was also struck by Cupid's arrow because he also became mad after Mohini incarnation of the Lord and acknowledged himself to be defeated. Cupid, however, was himself captivated by the grave and exciting dealings of the goddess of fortune. That's these women, the queens of Dwarka. Right? So Cupid himself was captivated by these dealings, and he voluntarily gave up his bow and arrow in a spirit of frustration. Right? Such was the beauty and attraction of the queens of Lord Krishna. So certainly these gopis are actually thinking, how can Krishna, Krishna, when he's so busy with them, will he even think about us? And that's what they ask in the next verse. Is he even thinking about us? Right? Yet they could not disturb the transcendental senses of the Lord. This is because the Lord is all perfect Atmaram, or self-sufficient. Right? So certainly they are so beautiful, even Cupid is frustrated. But Krishna's senses, it is said, is transcendent. He is the perfect Atmaram. Right? One of the 6 opulences of Krishna is he is the perfect renunciate. Right? He is actually all opulences of renunciation. Right? He does not require anyone's extraneous help for his personal satisfaction. Therefore, the queens could not satisfy the Lord by their feminine attractiveness, but they satisfied him by their sincere affection and service. Right? So it is not all these things that actually makes Krishna entangle. What really makes Krishna entangle is their sincere affection and service. Only by unalloyed transcendental loving service could they satisfy the Lord, and the Lord was pleased to treat them as wives in reciprocation. So this is the point, that finally how is Krishna? The gopis are thinking that, he will not think about us. Right? And that is the mood of a devotee. Like we see, like I already mentioned, that how the women of Hastinapur, they are thinking, the queens of Dwarka are so fortunate. And then the gopis are thinking what? The queens of Dwarka are so fortunate. Right? And then the queens of Dwarka are thinking what? The gopis are so fortunate that even in the night time Krishna is here in Dwarka, but he's always calling the names of the gopis in Vrindavan. So the mood of a devotee is that a devotee actually appreciates everyone's sentiment to Krishna. And because bhakti, devotional service, is like an unlimited ocean, They actually appreciate everyone's sentiments and say like, oh wow, so deep, so deep, so deep. And in that way, in that mood of appreciation, they are actually enhancing their own bhakti. You know? And this mood is all throughout. We see all like different devotees actually glorifying the devotion of other. An entire Brihad Bhagavatamrita is actually just, one story is just that. Where Narad Muni is traveling and every devotee is saying, oh, the other is better, the other is better. And by having that mood of appreciation of the other devotees, then they are actually enhancing their own devotion. Right? So that's what the gopis here, they have that mood of, one way it says they have the mood of hatred for these city women. But by that comparison, by that glorification or by that emotion, they are actually enhancing their own devotion to Krishna. So, yeah. So I think I'll stop here. Let's see if there are any comments, any corrections. You would like to mention any points? Yeah. Yeah.
Krishna has the four qualities that no other incarnation has: the flute, the form, the devotees, and pastimes. And so that is in itself is the definition of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you so much. So that point about seeing Krishna as the with these four unique qualities as the enjoyer of all rasa, that is a philosophy that is like so unique to our Gaudiya tradition. There was this, I heard this story recently that one Christian, one Catholic, she actually got the Bhagavatam, entire book of Bhagavatam, and she read it. And she was, and then somehow this book distributor again met this Catholic lady, and she said, "What you have is the highest. There is no theology that can actually compare to what you have in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is the highest. But I cannot take it up. Because if I take this up, I have to leave all." Because she was like a Catholic, she was, that's her whole life, and she had her friends and everything. But she had that deep appreciation. She said, "I cannot take it up because that means I have to leave my church and everything, and I'm not ready to leave that." But she had an appreciation that there's no, who can actually talk about the depth of Krishna's, the Supreme Personality of Godhead's emotions, and how he's actually relishing that emotion, bringing out that emotions, that mood, who can actually bring out? That's our philosophy is the highest. So we are so fortunate that by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have access to the heart of Krishna. And if you really want to love a person, then you need to know how Krishna feels, what he thinks, how does he react. And we see Krishna repeatedly doing this, nourishing the rasa in his devotees and relishing that rasa. So he's both the gardener and also the bee who's actually tasting that rasa. Okay, so it's time. So stop here. ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। वंचा कल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Adipurusham Tamaham Vajamin Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Vajamin Enam Kanvantam Aravindadalayataksham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Vajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Vajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Vajami Anandani Yasa Sakalen Driya Vriti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Vajami 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 Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Vajami
Yasomati Nandana Brajabara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Yasomati Nandana Brajabara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Yasomati Nandana Brajabara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara Kaliya Damana Vidana Kaliya Damana Vidana Kaliya Damana Vidana Kaliya Damana Vidana Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasa Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasa Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasa Amala Mamiya Vilasa Vipinan Purandara Navina Nagara Bara Vamjivadana Suvasa Vipinan Purandara Navina Nagara Bara Vamsivadana Subhasa Vipina Purandara Navina Nagarabara Vamsivadana Subhasa Vipina Purandara Nagarabara Vamsivadana Subhasa Brajajana Palana Surakula Nashana Brajana Palana Brajana Palana Surakula Nashana Brajana Rana Surakula Nashana Nanda Godana Rakulaya Nanda Godana Rakulaya Nanda Godana Rakulaya Nanda Godana Rakulaya Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Sundarananda Gopala Sundarananda Gopala Sundarananda Gopala Sundarananda Gopala Yamuna Tatachara Gopi Vasanahara Rasa Rishika Kripa no Yamuna Tatachara Gopi Vasanahara Rasa Rashika Kripa Moya 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 Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natapara 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 Bhakti Vinodashraya Bhakti Vinodashraya Bhakti Vinodashraya Bhakti Vinodashraya Yasomati Nandana Rajabaranagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Yasomati Nandana Rajabaranagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Amala Harinam Amiya Vilasa Amala Harinam Amiya Vilasa Amala Harinam Amiya Vilasa Amala Harinam Amiya Vilasa Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natapara Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natapara Bhakti Vinodashraya Bhakti Vinodashraya Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Golokananda Radhe Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokan Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radhe Jaya Golokananda Radhe Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaura Nitai Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Golokananda Ki Jai. Lord Krishna is beloved son of Yashoda, transcendental lover in the land of Braj, the delight of Gokula, known by the nickname Kana, the wealth of the lives of the gopis, the attractor of Cupid, and the punisher of the Kaliyas. These pure holy names of Lord Hari are full of sweet nectarian pastimes, Lord of the 12 forests of Braj, ever youthful, the best of lovers, player of the flute, and excellent dresser, protector of the inhabitants of Braj, destroyer of demoniac dynasties, keeper and tender of Nanda's cows, giver of pleasure to cows, land, and spiritual senses, husband of the goddess of fortune, butter thief, and beautiful little cowherd boy of Nanda Maharaj, wanderer of the Yamuna riverbanks, thief of the garments of the gopis, enjoyer of the mellows of the rasa dance, very merciful, lover and beloved of Sri Radha, the great dancer of Vrindavan, and the only shelter of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Chaito Darpanam Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrikaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrushita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Dordaiva Midrishami Hajjanina Nuraga Trinada Pisunichena Tarora Pisishuna Amanina Dena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Va Jagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoita Ki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vabada Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrashimba Chintaya Nayanam Galashudaraya Vadanam Gadgadordaya Gira Hulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanama Grahamema Vishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahena Me Ashlisha Vapadam Ridam Nastumam Adarshanam Marmahata Karotuva Yatatadavavanatolam Pato Matprananatastusha Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh, my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. They're not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing in my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Sri Shastika Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So just want to announce His Holiness Vedvyas Priya Maharaj is in town, and he'll be giving program today evening at 6 p.m. at Nitai Gunamani Prabhu's house, and tomorrow the program will be at 5 p.m. at Hari Venu Prabhu's house. And then Maharaj will give the Sunday feast talk at part of the Sunday program. So please do join us for this program, and you can have the association of His Holiness Vedvyas Priya Maharaj. Hare Krishna.